This is a classy move by Sonia Sotomayor, and it's one of the reasons why while I might criticize any one of their jurisprudence, I'm pretty defensive of the Supreme Court justices as human beings. They have a tough job. They tend to be very respectful of one another. Not always, but I have a lot of respect for them, having covered them for a long time. And here she is being a very classy lady. Watch.
But I suspect I have probably disagreed with him more than with any other justice. And yet, Justice Thomas is the one justice in the building that literally knows every employee's name, every one of them. And not only does he know their names, he remembers their families' names and histories. He's the first one who will go up to someone when you're walking with him and say, "Is your son okay? How's your daughter doing in college?" He's the first one that when my stepfather died, sent me flowers in Florida. He is a man who cares deeply about the court as an institution, about the people who work there, but about people.
She actually knows him.
Like, knows him very well. Like, they work side by side for 13 years. It'd be like, there's only 9 of them. So imagine how closely they work together. So if you hear her saying that, and she has no reason to say that unless it's true, exactly because of what she said, he's the person with whom she disagrees most on the court. What is it that we are to think about where Hillary Clinton got this caricature from, given that she doesn't actually know Clarence Thomas at all? I mean, even if they had some passing acquaintance 50 years ago in law school, to create this image of him that is based on pure kind of caricatures and stereotypes. I mean, if the ideology were inverted, that person would be banned from decent life forever. True. And I think, there was a lot of stories, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg talked about it as well, that actually Antonin Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg had a very similar kind of friendship. They used to go hunting. They would dine out a lot. They often spoke very fondly of one another. And I actually really think that our politics so much is missing exactly that, because I really do believe that most people are fundamentally decent. And so often we're denied the opportunity to recognize in one another our common humanity, because we're told that if we have political differences or ideological differences with somebody, we're required to regard them as evil. And very few people outside like sociopaths and psychopaths are really that kind of cartoonishly evil. And yet we're always being encouraged to view one another in that way. So those examples are not just inspiring, but important.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw you tweeting about this. I hadn't seen it before your tweet. On the negative list of what people do, Rex Chapman, who is he was very popular on Twitter for animal videos, like that apparently he stole from other people. So I kind of thought when I first followed the guy, oh sweet, he loves animals. Okay, yeah, me too. So you follow him, and then he got more and more political, and then the next thing you knew, CNN Plus hired him, and he had about 2 days of shows before CNN Plus went out of business. But this guy with the racist tropes last night on Twitter about Thomas, too.
I mean, first of all, I find it quite notable and odd that there were 5 Supreme Court justices who voted to overturn Roe and a 6th who voted to uphold the Mississippi law with Roberts, who didn't vote to overturn Roe. The majority opinion was not written by Clarence Thomas. It was written by Samuel Alito. And yet, I would say like 75 to 80, if 85% of the angry liberal commentary has focused for some reason on Clarence Thomas. Why is that?
Yep.
And then you look at what Rex Chapman said, and he has become, a very popular liberal social media influencer. He's far away from those neutral kind of animal videos that he stole, that caused him to be a popular Twitter figure. He basically has said that Clarence Thomas isn't really black because he doesn't seem to like the NBA, since he doesn't show up at NBA games. I mean, I didn't know that in order to be like genuinely black, you have to like basketball.
It's crazy.
But then for me, like the more offensive thing that he did was he said that Clarence Thomas is basically just like a dancing puppet of Mitch McConnell, playing obviously with very racist stereotypes about how a black man can't really think for themselves, is basically a house slave of Mitch McConnell. and then proceeded to post photos of not just Clarence Thomas, but him with Ginny Thomas, who's white. So the first two photos were of that interracial married couple. And then the second two photos were of a different interracial married couple who Rex Chapman has identified as kind of the next protege of Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, it's
so
Daniel
here you
Cameron.
have Mitch.
He's been on the show a bunch of times, the AG of Kentucky and potentially next governor.
Exactly. So look at those. It's just like 4 pictures gratuitously of 2 different interracial couples claiming that they're kind of captive to Mitch McConnell, who also, by the way, is in an interracial marriage. And the idea that this has now become an acceptable way to demean people. You know, as somebody is in an interracial marriage myself, I did react with visceral disgust and contempt for that. I mean, that is the kind of like thing that you used to hear prior to Loving versus Virginia when miscegenation laws were still popular in many states. That like treating like essentially saying Clarence Thomas is not a real black person. He's a race traitor because he not only doesn't like basketball, but is married to a white woman, just like the Attorney General of Kentucky. This is repulsive, Megyn.
Yes.
And, you know, this isn't the kind of like subtle racism like I think Hillary Clinton did, describing Clarence Thomas that way. I mean, some black men are angry and driven by grievance and resentment. I don't think it should be banned to talk about black men that way, though. Again, I don't think she has any basis other than tropes to do that. But that's at least subtle. This is overt. This is the kind of thing that would get any conservative instantly fired. And yet, I don't see
where's the
any
Twitter
liberal
censor
objecting.
machine, right? Like Jordan Peterson can't be on Twitter because he said something controversial about Elliot Page, but so he's off. But how is this allowed? How is Rex Chapman allowed to post memes like that or posts like that about a sitting AG, a sitting Supreme Court justice, and it's okay, it's no problem?
Yeah, I mean, if you go onto Twitter and you dispute the extremely controversial and tendentious core assertion of the new trans movement that trans women are women, if you assert that there are differences, and especially if you are somebody who is resistant to the idea of using proper pronouns. Now, I do use pronouns that people choose for themselves because I respect their autonomy. But for people who don't believe in that practice, I think that although I don't agree with it, it should be permitted. But if you do any of that, you're instantly banned. This is way worse. This is, like a kind of violation of a settled norm in the United States for decades, that there's nothing shameful or race traitorous about being in an interracial marriage. And he is being very blunt about the fact that he doesn't think that.
4th of July is just around the corner. And if you're looking for the perfect cuts to put on the grill this year, look no further. Good Ranchers is the place to get American beef, chicken, and seafood. They sell 100% American meat and they ship it straight to your door. And right now, Good Ranchers is putting the free in freedom with 2 free prime ribeyes with every order that uses my code, Megyn. Other places would charge you well over $50, even $60 a steak to get ribeyes like these, but Good Ranchers is giving them to you for free when you go to goodranchers.com/Megyn. They're out of their ranching minds, but take advantage of it. This is not the time to wait. Know that you got to claim your ribeyes today because they could run out. It's a limited stock item. First come, first serve. And you want to be first when it comes to Good Ranchers. They deliver the best of American farms and ranches right to your door. Make sure you take time today. Right now, go to goodranchers.com/Megyn or use my code MEGYN at checkout to get your 2 free 18-ounce ribeyes. Start the summer off right with Good Ranchers. American meat delivered. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.